Good morning everyone. Today we are going to see lateral ventricle. Till now you have studied the third ventricle and fourth ventricle. So today we will discuss about the cavity of lateral ventricle. Lateral ventricle, it is a C-shaped cavity of the telencephalon and it is on medial side, it is closed by the septum pellucidum. So to see the cavity of the lateral ventricle clear cut, we have to remove the adjoining structure. So in this specimen, you can see the C-shaped cavity of the lateral ventricle. This C-shaped cavity, it is situated one in each cerebral hemisphere. The main part of this lateral ventricle, it is separated by one thin nervous septum which is made up of both white matter and grey matter lined on each side by the ependyma, that is known as the septum pellucidum. So here you can see this is the septum pellucidum separating the main part of the lateral cavity of the lateral ventricle, which is extending from the corpus callosum to the fornix. The cavity of the lateral ventricle, it communicates with the cavity of the third ventricle via interventricular foramen of Monro. So in this specimen, after removal of adjoining structures, you can see the clear-cut C-shaped cavity of the lateral ventricle. So all the horn of the lateral ventricle here you can see. The capacity of this lateral ventricular cavity is around 7 to 10 ml and the 90% of the CSF production takes place within the cavity of the lateral ventricle via choroid plexus. That was the cavity of the lateral ventricle in mid-sagittal section. Now here you can see this is the horizontal section of the brain, and in this section you can see the parts of the cavity of lateral ventricle. The cavity of the lateral ventricle, it wraps around the caudate nucleus, lentiform nucleus and thalamus. To better understand the cavity of the lateral ventricle, now we have in this specimen, we have cut this specimen from this side, and in the lower part also, the thalamus, the brainstem, the cerebellum, it has been removed from the specimen. So now we can see like this. That was the view from the medial side. Now same specimen we are viewing from the lateral side. So now you can see the clear-cut C-shaped cavity of the lateral ventricle in the one cerebral hemisphere. For descriptive purpose, we have divided the cavity of the lateral ventricle into four parts. They are central part or the body of the lateral ventricle within the parietal lobe, the anterior horn of the cavity of the lateral ventricle within the frontal lobe, the posterior horn in the occipital lobe, and the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle within the temporal lobe. So from lateral side, again the part of the cavity of the lateral ventricle within the parietal lobe, that is the central part, extending in the frontal lobe, that is anterior horn, extending into the posterior horn, occipital lobe, that is posterior horn, and the part of the cavity of the lateral ventricle within the temporal lobe, that is the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. Now starting with the parts of the lateral ventricle. So the first is the central part. The central part of the lateral ventricle is also known as the body of the lateral ventricle. So this central part or body of the lateral ventricle lies within the parietal lobe and it extends from the interventricular foramen of Monro to the in front of the splenium of the corpus callosum. So, this much is the exact extent of the central part or body of the lateral ventricle. To understand the parts of the lateral ventricle, in this figure we can see this is the C-shaped cavity of the lateral ventricle. So, there are 4 parts of the cavity of the lateral ventricle. The major portion, that is known as the central part or the body of the lateral ventricle, that is situated within the parietal lobe. It extends from the interventricular foramen of Monro to the splenium of the corpus callosum. So this is the central part or the body of the lateral ventricle. The anterior extension of the cavity of the lateral ventricle within the frontal lobe, that is known as the anterior horn, which lies in front of the interventricular foramen of Monro. Similarly, the posterior extension of the cavity of the lateral ventricle within the occipital lobe, that is known as the posterior horn. And the 4th part of the lateral ventricle, that is the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle, that is situated within the temporal lobe. Now, the second part of the lateral ventricle is the anterior horn, which is situated within the frontal lobe. The anterior horn of the lateral ventricle is situated between the interventricular foramen of Monro and posterior surface of the genu of corpus callosum. The third part of the cavity of the lateral ventricle, that is the posterior horn, that is the backward extension from the central part of the lateral ventricle into the occipital lobe toward the occipital pole. It doesn't extend up to the occipital pole, but the direction is towards the occipital pole. Now, the 4th part of the lateral ventricle is the inferior horn. It is largest of the all 3 horn, and it is the main continuation of the central part of the lateral ventricle. The inferior horn starts where the central part and the posterior horn meets. So from here the inferior horn starts, it extends towards the temporal pole and it ends behind 2.5 cm behind the temporal pole. To understand the lateral ventricle, we have taken the coronal section of the brain. So, here you can see the cavity of the lateral ventricle in the different section. So, in the exam, you will not given the specimen like arranged like this. One of the specimen we will give you and you have to identify the horn or the body of the lateral ventricle. First, starting with the anterior horn. So to identify the horn, first you need to identify the lobe of the brain. So here this is the frontal lobe, and this frontal lobe is confirmed by seeing the pole. So here you can see the frontal pole which are rounded and not pointed like the occipital pole. And so here you can see these are the rounded frontal pole. And to confirm again, you can see the inferior surface where you can identify the olfactory nerve. Even if the olfactory nerve are not present, you can identify the olfactory sulcus, which is not present on the occipital lobe. This is the figure of the Cunningham. For reference, you can refer the Cunningham. So, this section of the brain, it is taken behind the genu of the corpus callosum. So, here you can see in this figure the cavity of the anterior horn. Similarly, you can see in the specimen also the cavity of the anterior horn. It is roughly triangular in shape in the coronal section with having 5 walls: the roof, floor, medial wall, lateral wall and the anterior wall. So this section, it is at the level of the behind the genu of the corpus callosum. So in this figure you can see this is the corpus callosum. Here this is the bulging of the caudate nucleus. This is lentiform nucleus. The caudate nucleus and lentiform nucleus, they are separated by the internal capsule. The two anterior horn, they are separated by the thin septum, that is known as the septum pellucidum. The anterior horn, it is having 5 walls. So the roof of the anterior horn, it is formed by the body of the corpus callosum. The floor, it is formed by the rostrum of the corpus callosum. The anterior wall, it is formed by the genu of the corpus callosum. The medial wall, it is formed by the septum pellucidum. And in the lateral wall of the anterior horn, we can see the bulging of head of the caudate nucleus. Starting with the posterior horn, this is the figure from the Cunningham, and this section of the brain is taken at the level of the splenium of the corpus callosum. So here you can see this is the splenium of the corpus callosum, and each cerebral hemisphere you can see the cavity of the posterior horn. Here in the lateral wall of the posterior horn you can see this is the tapetum, this white color line, that is tapetum, then optic radiation, and lateral to that superior longitudinal bundle. In the medial wall you can see 2 elevations. The upper elevation, that is known as the bulb of posterior horn, and the lower elevation in the medial wall, that is known as the calcar avis. This is the coronal section of the brain taken at the level of splenium of the corpus callosum. In this specimen you can see this is the splenium, and on each side the posterior horn of lateral ventricle within the occipital lobe. To identify the posterior horn in the exam, first you have to confirm the lobe of the brain. So to confirm the lobe, you have to see the occipital lobe as well as identify the occipital pole, which is more pointed, while the frontal lobe is more rounded. So here you can see the occipital lobe which are pointed. So this is the occipital lobe, and the cavity within the occipital lobe, that is the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. The posterior horn of the lateral ventricle, it is roughly quadrangular in shape. It is having roof, floor, medial wall and the lateral wall. The roof, lateral wall and floor of the posterior horn is formed by the sheet of white fiber coming from the splenium of the corpus callosum. which is known as the tapetum. This thin sheet of the white fiber, that is known as the tapetum. Outside the tapetum, there is presence of the optic radiation, and lateral to that, there is presence of the superior longitudinal bundle. So, in the lateral wall of the posterior horn, from inside to outside, we can see tapetum, optic radiation, and superior longitudinal bundle. In the medial wall, you can see two elevations, the upper and the lower one. The upper elevation, it is formed by the forceps major. The forceps major, they are the fibers of the splenium of the corpus callosum sweeping backward toward the occipital pole. So, this elevation formed by the forceps major is known as bulb of posterior horn. Now, the lower elevation, that is known as the calcar avis. Calcar avis. And this elevation is due to the anterior part of the calcarine sulcus, which you can see here. This is the calcarine sulcus, anterior part, which produce bulging in the lower part of the medial wall of posterior. This is the coronal section of the brain from the central part or body of lateral ventricle. In the coronal section, the central part, it is roughly triangular in shape, having three walls: the medial wall, roof, and sloping floor. Medial wall, it is formed by the septum pellucidum. The roof, it is formed by the body of the corpus callosum, and floor, it is sloping from lateral to medial side. So whenever you see the floor of the central part, you can see the lateral most is the body of caudate nucleus. Medial to that, this minute opening of the thalamostriate vein along with the stria terminalis. Medial to that, you can see the lateral part of upper surface of thalamus. Medial to that, the choroid plexus covering the medial part of upper surface of thalamus, and the medial most is the body of fornix. So this is the other specimen similar like this. The only difference is here there is presence of the brainstem in this coronal section, while here the brainstem is not there. But the section is taken at the same level, through the central part or body of the lateral ventricle. So in both this specimen, the central part or body of the lateral ventricle you can see. Here you can see in the brainstem, this is the midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata, which is not present in this specimen. Now in this specimen, the central part, the medial wall is formed by the septum pellucidum, the roof formed by the body of the corpus callosum, and the sloping floor from lateral to medial side, you can see the body of caudate nucleus, the opening of the thalamostriate vein along with the stria terminalis, lateral part of upper surface of thalamus, choroid plexus, which is not visible here but it is present, covering the medial part of upper surface of the thalamus, and the body of the fornix. It is important to understand the relationship of caudate nucleus with the lateral ventricle. So in this specimen, you can see the caudate nucleus. This is the head of the caudate nucleus. Then this one is the body of the caudate nucleus, and it goes down, and this is the tail of the caudate nucleus. So caudate nucleus is also C-shaped, winding around the thalamus and lentiform nucleus. So that's why the body of the caudate nucleus, it comes in the floor of the central part of lateral ventricle, while the tail of the caudate nucleus comes in the roof of the inferior horn of lateral ventricle. Now, to revise the floor of the central part of the lateral ventricle, from lateral to medial side, you can see this is the body of the caudate nucleus from lateral to medial side. Now here you can see thalamostriate vein and stria terminalis. Then lateral part of upper surface of thalamus. Then the choroid plexus covering the medial part of upper surface of thalamus, and the medial most structure is the body of fornix. The inferior horn, it is the largest horn of all the three horns. It begins where the central part and the posterior horn meets, and the area where the inferior horn and the posterior horn diverge, this flattened area, that is known as the collateral trigone. From this, the inferior horn runs downward forward in the temporal lobe parallel to the superior temporal sulcus. The inferior horn has roof and floor. In the roof, you can see the tail of the caudate nucleus and stria terminalis. Here you can see this is the tail of the caudate nucleus and this is stria terminalis. This is the coronal section through the central part or body of the lateral ventricle. In same section, in the lower part you can see the transverse slit-like inferior horn. So in the coronal section, the inferior horn is transverse slit-like, having roof and floor. So in the roof, the lateral part of the roof, it is formed by this white fiber, that is tapetum. In the medial side, you can see the tail of the caudate nucleus, and medial to that there is stria terminalis. So from lateral to medial, the roof of the inferior horn is formed by the tapetum, then tail of the caudate nucleus and stria terminalis. Now floor. Floor is having two elevation. The lateral elevation, that is known as the collateral eminence, it is produced by the collateral sulcus. Collateral sulcus is a complete sulcus which produces elevation in the floor of the inferior horn of lateral ventricle. Medial to that, you can see other elevation, that is the hippocampus. And this hippocampus, the ventricular surface of it is covered by the thin white matter, that is known as the alveus, and the alveus converge on the medial side to form the fimbria. And the medial most structure in the floor of the inferior horn is the choroid plexus. So, to see the longitudinal elevation in the floor of the inferior horn, in this specimen you can see the two longitudinal elevation. The medial elevation, that is the hippocampus, and the lateral longitudinal elevation in the floor of inferior horn, that is the collateral eminence, produced due to the collateral sulcus. So that's all about the lateral ventricle. We have studied the lateral ventricle in the different section like coronal section, mid-sagittal section, horizontal section. So in exam, any section can be asked and you have to identify the lateral ventricle.